What's up? Welcome in on this hump day, January 7th, 2026. And as customary on Wednesdays, the whole crew is intact because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We've got college football playoff semifinals starting tomorrow night. Mac's going to make his official picks for the next round of the CFPs tonight. We've also got some hockey to talk about because it's Wednesday, and that's why where we like to puck around and find out. We've got wild card weekend ahead of us. So many questions to be answered, so many questions to be asked. More news on the NFL coaching front. We got a baseball move today, and NIL takes another ugly turn. Shocking. What's up, Vegas Mac in the middle?
Oh my gosh. No snow yet, so I'll give you that update. No snow yet, so we're just
waiting on that one with bated breath.
I know. Well, a little bit of rain, but no snow yet, so we're good to go so far for tonight, and we'll see about tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, some big news today. Big trade by the Cubbies. Good job by the Cubbies. I can't wait to get into that a little bit.
Yeah, we will get into that here in just a few minutes. And back from his deathbed, live and in somewhat living color, TJ. What is going on, my friend?
Well, I'm just living the dream today. I'm living the dream.
You and Todd Bowles living the dream because unfireable Todd Bowles. We'll get to that in just a second. If you're watching along, feel free to comment along. We'll get as many of them up on the air as we can. And as always, follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show, everywhere but where and why, one TJ.
Everywhere but Snapchat, because Snapchat sucks and we're not 12.
The definitive answer that is from the Mike Arana Show. Boys, there's two incredible things going on right now. One of which I am sweating the bet of all bets tonight in this Raptors-Hornets game. How do you know that you're a degenerate? When you have a big bet in a Raptors-Hornets game is usually your first indicator there. We're on double watch for a guy on the floor, and I will be very happy and have a very Mac-like reaction while he's watching secretly the Carolina Hurricanes play during our show like he does most times. So I'm sweating an incredible bet. I also was at the grocery store today. I know. Big boy adult shit, right? These are fascinating. So I'm like, yeah, like typical, it probably tastes nothing like it. There was a fast food chain that tried to do a Dr. Pepper shake for a little while. Those of you that know me know I'm literally, if you cut up my bloodstream, it would be an equal equation of water, Coors Light, and Dr. Pepper in some form. Now I'm on the zero sugar train. I had no idea these were a thing. They actually taste like Dr. Pepper. And then I went down a Dr. Pepper rabbit hole. Did you guys know there is a Dr. Pepper museum? Like, why have I not been informed of any of this shit? We're talking about taking some trips next year in the summertime. Well, I'm going to damn sure make sure we go somewhere that makes us cross the path of the Dr. Pepper Museum. Because we are, of course, 23 flavors short of a full load.
Where would that be?
Is it in
Pepper
Texas?
Museum?
I believe it's in Texas, which would make sense because you think I have a very strict liquid system rolling through my body. Nobody in Texas hates Dr. Pepper. I think it's against state laws to hate Dr. Pepper. What am I doing here? I'm typing the word Monday in. Dr. Pepper, this makes for great television, by the way. Dr. Pepper Museum is in Waco, Texas. See, we could go catch Baylor. Geez. We could go to the Dr. Pepper Museum. I'm not seeing a bad part of this. How the hell I was this many years old, did I not know there was a Dr. Pepper Museum? I kind of feel like somehow you two have failed me in that department.
Well, I will tell you that I have been not to the Dr. Pepper Museum, but I've been to the Pez Museum.
Oh, shit. That just hurts my teeth thinking about it.
I mean, Pez, every single Pez that's ever been made was in this place.
Yeah. That I could see that. That would be freaking incredible. If there was a chicken wing museum, which I'm sure there is somewhere, that'll definitely be on our list as well. All right, let's talk about something that's actually worth a shit talking about here. T, you weren't here yesterday, so I wanted to get your take on one thing, and then I'm going to play something from last night's show because Vegas Mac just volunteered himself to be part of the Hall Passes community last night, and I stopped him dead in his tracks. First thoughts, what the hell were the Raiders thinking in What the Hell Were the Raiders Thinking, Chapter 11?
And that's just Chapter 11 from this year. I mean, you could go back a long ways here. I have no idea. I think it's completely unfair to lay all the blame on one person who hasn't been there to go through the experience and see, like, how bad it has been. And it's always like this team has never bottomed out. And now I think they've bottomed out, which is nice. But look, don't hate the player, hate the game. This team has been poorly constructed. This team has obvious holes, and you're going to put all the blame on the coach. Now, the other side of that is the coach did not cater his team and his offense to fit the personnel. That's the other side of it. And the offensive line was a problem all year, and it just so happens that his son is was the offensive line coach. So, I don't know. You can make a case for both sides. I personally is like, it's unfair to expect, unless something egregious happens, then it's unfair to pin all the blame on one person after 1 year. You got to give a guy 3 years.
Does Fernando Mendoza excite you as a Raider fan?
No. I think he's going to be a great college quarterback, and I think he's going to be meh in the pros.
Do you think he's going to be a Tim Tebow in the pros kind of guy?
I don't know if he's going to get the opportunity to throw that touchdown pass to Demaryius Thomas in the playoffs and shock the world. But I'm not high on Mendoza. I'm not high on really any of these quarterbacks that are in the draft this year. Ideally, I would love to see the Raiders take this pick and trade down, because I think they can get a whole heck of a lot more. I would also like to see them. I was hoping it was a package deal and that Geno Smith went with Pete Carroll, because
to the retirement home. Geno's still a little young, man.
He was not great this year.
That's one way.
Not great.
That's one way to put it. I saw a post the other day after the announcement was made, and it said Geno tried to throw shade at the Raiders, but the shade was intercepted and returned for a touchdown. Last night, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I may have put it in our group chat, or I may have sent it somewhere else, but this is going to be the 9th head coach in the Mark Davis regime, the 9th since 2012. Dennis Allen, Tony Sperano, Jack Del Rio, John Gruden, Rich Bisaccia, Josh McDaniels, Antonio Pierce, Pete Carroll, and a bunch of question marks, because now we're on number 9.
Yep, and maybe the best option for you is sitting right out in the open now, thanks to Baltimore.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right. Last night, speaking of more football-related stuff here, I wanted to play this for you, TJ, because Mac brought up an interesting point, and it's definitely ruffled the feathers on Blue Sky of one person in particular. I've been going back and forth today on my guy Dan Lanning, but Mac had some interesting thoughts, and this is what he said.
Last year. And, TJ has this segment on the show, right? I think you know where I'm going with this.
You're not putting Dan Lanning on a friggin' hall pass list.
I love the guy. But listen. If he doesn't win this game, might have to give T a call. But I do think, in all seriousness, I think this is a big game, because he's winning the games that he's supposed to win, but he's not getting over that hump. I mean, I'd take him in a minute. I love him. I think he's a great coach. I love what he does. But still got to win it. And he still hasn't. So
that was Vegas Mac last night. Would you like to chime in on this? Because I put a hard stop on that one.
100% agree, Matt. 100% agree. You were brought in for a reason. You were brought in for a reason. And how many times do you get a pass when you have supposedly the best team in college football, and you're going to go out again? No, 100% he deserves to be on the list.
Hey, you guys remember the show Around the Horn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna Tony Reali here. All right, guys, now we're back to the actual show here. People that don't think Dan Lanning is a fraud, unlike these two knuckleheads. There you go. There you go, Mac. You got somebody on your side. He's frozen. Mac is literally frozen.
Well, I mean, but I mean, like, it's the same thing, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this later with all the quarterbacks who are playing this weekend in Wild Card Weekend. Like, when do we look at Dan Lanning and go, "You're not getting it done"? Like, when do we do this? 5 years? 10 years? Like, when do we do it?
It, I can, like I told Mac last night, and I get it, guys out there. We are having some Facebook issues again. Way to go, Meta. We're trying to get that corrected for you. I get it, and I get that point, and we're going to get into the games obviously here in just a second. Let's go around a couple of the other headlines. We just talked about coaches. It's a guy we've talked about a lot on this program, especially with the way his team literally crashed and burned down the stretch, Mac. But we find out today that Todd Bowles is returning to Tampa Bay in 2026. Do you like it? Do you hate it?
I haven't even got a chance to read the whole thing, but I'm more surprised that he's coming back than I don't know what's bigger, that he's coming back or that Harbaugh got fired. I'm trying to wrap my brain around it right now. It just seemed like it was a total free for all. I mean, so good at the beginning of the season, and then I really thought they were kind of getting over the hump with the injuries, and I thought they were going to be better, and it just never happened. And I mean, obviously we're not there, but it seemed like that the whole locker room was lost. I mean, that's a head scratcher to me.
T, you've had plenty of thoughts on Bowles here. Is it a head scratcher to you?
It is, because, and you know what's funny is, like, this matches his worst season since he's been in Tampa Bay. He's been there 4 years, and this matches his worst season, 8-9. Go figure. But like, this team was what, 7-2? Like, how do you, like, what the hell happened? Seriously, like, what happened? There's got to be some sort of post-mortem here to discuss why this team went south the way, and it was bad too. It was straight up ugly. Like, they just went right off the cliff, and like, nothing's changed. Like, you know what's changed? Liam Cohen. That's what's changed. But what else has changed?
Yeah, and it's, when you look at Todd Bowles, the head coach here, I mean, we're talking about a guy who's 61-74 in his career, 2-1 in Miami for the 3 games he got to coach there, 24-40 with the Jets, which actually sounds like a great record for the Jets, and then 35-33 in his time in Tampa. And as he said in defending himself yesterday, I've won the division 3 years in a row leading up to this one, so I think that kind of speaks to itself. And I think there is some truth there, but it's just a team that seemingly has way too much talent to be meddling in the middle and finishing these years like this, 8-9, 9-8, 10-7, 8-9. That's his time in Tampa, and it's like there's way too much talent on that team in that division for you to be doing this, and now you've allowed the rest of the division to catch up. With New Orleans had a way better year than I think a lot of people thought they were going to have. They obviously need way more pieces there, Mac, but the Carolina Panthers, say what you want, make the jokes you want, they took the division in a weird way, but they took the division, and then Atlanta's going to reload with a new head coach as well. So the rest of the division is catching them. I can't imagine he's on a safe seat next year, Mac.
I don't actually dislike the move. I mean, and we kind of were talking about this yesterday, because so many times, like T, what I said yesterday about the Raiders, it was that, you brought in a guy to do a job. His job wasn't to win a championship. His job was to rebuild the program, and you fired him for doing exactly what you hired him to do. And I think it's kind of the same thing in Tampa. I'm like, this is a team that, about at the halfway mark of the season, you had to think, not only is this a playoff team, but this is a team that can make a run in the playoffs. And so if you look at it from that perspective, maybe they're looking at it and going, listen, we can fix the things that were kind of broken. Again, we don't know what kind of happened there. That's going to be stuff that we just don't know. But I mean, from a standpoint, why go and get a new coach for a team that's not far away from being a playoff, not only a playoff, but like I said, a team that could make a run in the playoffs. So I don't really hate the move. It's just the way that the whole thing just kind of fell apart. It just, I guess to say, in this day and age, that seems weird.
No, it's 100% weird. But what message does this send? What messages does this send to the players, and what messages does it send to the fans? Like it,
Yeah.
it to me, it sends the message that we're totally happy being meh. And if that's what the message you want to send, that's fine. I mean, but be prepared for what's going to come with that, because you're not going to make playoffs. I've got a friend in Florida who refused to renew his season tickets because he didn't like the direction the team was going.
Would it be different though? Let's just say that they won on Saturday and they made the playoffs. Would we look at it differently? I mean, I know it's just one game, but would we look at it differently if this was a team that made the playoffs versus now that they did make the playoffs? Would we say, oh yeah, they made the playoffs, whether they win or lose in the playoffs, they made that step. Do you think it would have made a difference?
I don't. Not to me, at least.
No, this team's 1-3 in the playoffs under his leadership, with 2 first-round exits and a second-round exit. No, you have to make a run. You have to have some success, and he hasn't had this playoff success.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. Final word, Mac.
I just say I can see it. Like I said, I don't hate the move. I think it's good from a stability standpoint, but it's like I said. I'll just stick with what I said. It's kind of a head scratcher.
Yeah, definitely. So I can't believe how invested I am in a Raptors Hornets games. I have something seriously wrong. Baseball news: the Cubs finally land one of the big fish from the fish in acquiring Edward Cabrera from Miami. Traded a trio of bats over, including their number 2 prospect, Owen Casey. It's an interesting rotation now for Chicago. They've got Matt Boyd, Shota Imanaga, Jameson Taillon, and now Cabrera. And if you look at that in the lineage, if you will, of the National League, I think that puts Chicago with a front 4 rotation. And I'll start in the middle with UT. I think that puts Chicago in that realm of one of the better front 4 rotations. And they've got options in that 5th spot as well. As we know, there's still a lot of big chips, a lot of big fish still in the sea, if you will. We've heard Zach Gallen's name kind of tied to them. I don't know if that changes it now, but a big move and the first of what we thought were going to be a couple moves from the Marlins. I love this for the Cubs.
I love it for the Cubs as well, and I think this puts them top 5 in the National League by at least. I mean, this is what they needed to do. They needed to strengthen their rotation, and I hope that they're able to come to some resolution with Tucker. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm hoping that for the Cubs fans, I hope that they can, because I know a lot of Cubs fans who are pretty excited about this team going into 25, and then, well, it's the Cubs, so you know what happens there.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it. It should have happened to the Red Sox, not to the Cubs.
Oh my God!
Red Sox should have made that. Actually,
get your head out of the dirty water, will you?
I know. I actually love this for both teams. More so for the Cubs. I mean, this gives them another good, strong arm. Strengthens that rotation. Yeah, I mean, I would put that rotation up there with just about any rotation in the National League.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Reds are going to be sneaky good rotation as well. I like the Reds rotation as well. But the Cubs are going in the right direction. I think the Cubs are having a nice offseason. Again, teams are not done, and that's the thing. There's enough players out there that are truly game-changing players that can swing an organization one way or another. Those guys are still out there, and there's multiples of them as well.
Yeah, and I think, and it's something I've brought up a couple of times here, guys, but I think it's starting to become very true here, is I don't think we're seeing teams, and Mac, you mentioned this with the Japanese players that were thinking they were going to get X amount, and all of them came in way less than what we were told they were probably going to command on the market. I seriously get the sense that there's teams that are very hesitant right now to sign these guys up to long-term deals, because what we know, unfortunately, is still hanging over our head in Major League Baseball is the potential that after the season there is a work stoppage. And I think that has impacted some of the free agent market. When you look out there at some of these names that are still just sitting there with a rumor here and a rumor there, but no direct connection, I think that is playing a factor into this, especially this late. And it's not the first time. We'll go Mac TJ on this one. It's not the first time that we've seen this happen, especially over the last couple of years. The Boris clients from 2 years ago all came in way late, all came in way under money. I think that's got something to do with it.
It may have something to do with it. I mean, it may be the owners just kind of not quite sure where they're going to go or what that contract is going to look like, 2 years down the road. I mean, I think it's just more of the nature of the beast that you get these that you know except for just kind of being out of sorts, players are, when they get to spring training, they're a lot more ready than they were, 10, 15 years ago, even. They're not going there to get in shape. They're there because they're in shape. They're just getting baseball ready. So I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, if you sign a guy 2 or 3 weeks before you start spring training, it's not like, he's not going to be ready. These guys are all ready. So these teams are just, there's a lot of smoke all over baseball right now. I think that's just the way to look at it, and nobody, I think, nobody wants to show their hand. That's it. I mean, I think everybody's trying to get every penny out of these guys that they can.
Oh, UT. Sorry. I don't know what's going on with my microphone. It's like buzzing like hell in my ear right now. It's driving me nuts.
No, it's all good. I'm interested to see what happens. I know he's got 3 years of control. I'm interested to see what happens with Tucker, if he's going to be there or if he's going to be gone, or is it going to be Bichette, or who's it going to be? That's what I'm waiting to see, because I think once the first big name drops, I think you're just going to see them all go pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Double watch, guys. One of the categories we are in double figures. Come on, damn it. All right, let's look at some quarterback news in college football here. And I don't think this is going to come as a surprise. Let's talk about the other guys that didn't make a huge bit of news today. But Jackson Arnold headed out to Vegas to play his college football now for Dan Mullen and the Runnin' Rebs. As we know, he started at Oklahoma, was at Auburn last year, so now he's on his third school. I think a good fit for Dan Lanning in the Mountain West out there, or Dan Mullen in the Mountain West out there. Ty Simpson is declared for the draft. I don't think any of us are surprised there, from Alabama. And Damon Williams up in Washington. This is about like par for the course in what's going on in college football. This is from Bruce Feldman at The Athletic. Less than 24 hours after the Washington coaching staff was stunned to learn that starting quarterback Damon Williams Jr. announced plans to enter the transfer portal. The Huskies hosted Missouri transfer Bo Pribula on a visit, a program source told The Athletic on Wednesday. Bo Pribula started his career at Penn State, was at Missouri last year. Where the story gets really interesting is the Huskies had to do a hell of a quick pivot here 5 days after the fact that Williams signed a contract with Washington to remain with the program. He had a great year last year, a lot of fun to watch. Washington has no intention of releasing Williams from the contract he signed on January 2nd. The dispute could lead to a messy debate over the circumstances surrounding Williams' status. Per NCAA bylaws, once an athlete is given school written notification of their intent to transfer, the school is obligated to enter that athlete's name into the transfer portal within 2 business days. Williams, however, did not file any paperwork with the Washington compliance officers to have his name entered into the portal before making his announcement today on social media. I say good for Washington. You signed a contract. This is the one sticking point for me, has been like, we're signing these guys to contracts. You can disguise it behind a collective, an NIL, whatever bullshit name you want to put on it. These guys are paid players. You need to sign them to contracts and hold them to their contracts. This one's going to be really interesting to play out. T than Mac, I don't think any of us are shocked that we're in a contract dispute. And there's been others, but this one's one of the bigger names in college football coming back next year.
If you want to be compensated as a quote professional player or a professional player in training, then you get to be treated like a professional player in training. These players, these formerly student athletes, okay, they have all of the benefits of being a professional athlete and none of the responsibilities and none of the consequences of being a professional athlete. This is horse crap. Good for Washington. I hope this guy sits out the entire year, and I hope he doesn't get paid. Screw him.
You go to college to learn lessons. You go to college to get educated. That's what we were told. That's why you go. You go to college to get a degree so you can get a good job. And we all know that when you go to college, you learn lessons. Some are good, some are bad, some you never want to remember again. Um, I think this is just a part of life. You made a mistake. You didn't check your boxes that you need to check, and this is where you are.
Nope, nope.
That's how life is.
I have absolutely no sympathy for
Nope.
this player at all. None.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. 10 minutes, 15 minutes from now, we'll be into the college football playoff semifinals. We'll also, about 25, 30 minutes after that, we'll get into our questions and things we're looking at in Super Wild Card Weekend, even though we don't call it that. But it's Wednesday, so that means it's time to puck around and find out, boys. I don't think anybody anywhere is talking enough about what the Colorado Avalanche are doing this year. 69 points atop of a very high-loaded Central Division, as both of you guys have talked about quite a bit as of late. The Avalanche are 17-0-2 at home. Like, we're 42 games into the season here. They're 17-0-2, and I'm barely hearing crickets about it. And I know that the NHL is still struggling for eyeballs. They're on the upswing here. But I don't think, like, just from a sports standpoint, period, guys, we're not talking about the Avalanche as much as we should be.
Dude, this team's lost 4 times in regulation in 41 games. 4 times. It's incredible the numbers that they're putting up. They're first in goals for, they're first in goals against, they're first in shots, they're first in penalty kill. This team has so much talent, and they're going through a spell of injuries right now. Like Landeskog is out, Devon Taves is out. They're both, according to Coach Bednar, they're going to, quote, miss some time. But it's just like they're just going to, okay, we're going to put somebody else in, and he's going to do the job. I mean, this team has a very good shot at 65 wins, a very good shot.
I got to watch them the other night, and they're amazing. I can't even say it. In the Quebec Nordiques uniforms, and it's kind of cool. It was the Whalers and the Nordiques. I mean, Carolina had that game. They were up 3-1 in the third period to start the third period. Now, I don't know what the hell happened, but somebody let out a can of something on that Avalanche side. And before you know it, the Avalanche were up by 3. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just how they are. I mean, like I said, for 2 periods, Carolina did a really good job of holding down the Avalanche. I guess, to make a pun, I guess you can't hold the Avalanche down. It's unstoppable. I mean, they're that good. I mean, I know. Gosh, I just walked into that. But I mean, it's
you
really
dipped
good
into the deepest bottom of the dad joke bag there and swung and missed. It's
all good.
That one.
But I mean, and not just it was because it was the Hurricanes. That was a fun game to watch. I mean, that was a hockey game that was it looked more like a video game because you had 2 teams that were just going up and down the ice. Chance after chance. Really, actually, a really good defensive game, even though there were a lot of goals scored. But man, oh man, it just did not take long. It's like once Colorado kind of got a little momentum, there was just no stopping. They score goals from the point, from behind the net, from every angle. They just shoot the puck, and they're just so darn fast. I mean, they even make sometimes Carolina look slow. So it was a fun game.
We've seen this before from them. And can they get the job done when it matters most? Right now, I would say definitively it looks like you bet your ass they can. They will also be part of an upcoming Winter Classic announced today where they will take on the Utah Mammoth at Rice-Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake City. That'll be a fun one, somewhere that's actually cold and outdoors to play an outdoor hockey game. Guys, if I asked you over the last 10 games who the hottest team in hockey is, can you answer that question without cheating?
The Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, it was kind of a loaded question. I mean, he's going to have some thoughts on the Sabres tomorrow, but I'll start with you here, Mac, because I know you're kind of in the middle of your divisional tour for the 5-hole. I know this week, I'm pretty sure we're getting the first top 5 of 2026 in the 5-hole.
That's right.
The Sabres team is turning into a hell of a lot of fun to watch right now. They're 9-1-0 in their last 10 games.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, at some point, you had to figure they were going to kind of maybe figure it out. They've got some good young guys. They get that UConn Husky in there, Mr. Thompson, who does pretty well. And I gotta get, so I just got them. I got them all tonight, guys. I'm just letting you know. But I mean, yeah, it's good to see the Sabres up there. I mean, I really do. Uh, I I I remember back in the day, guys, the Buffalo Sabres. That was always a really really back at the odd. That was always a tough place to go and play. It was not fun. Nobody wants to go up to Buffalo in the middle of February and January. And they were just always really good from a defensive standpoint. They always seemed like they had such good defensive teams. So I'm glad they're having some success.
Yeah, I mean it's good for the. I mean, this team hasn't made the playoffs in 15 years. It's like
Playoffs.
when does this like all of this rebuilding and retooling and the trade for Eichel to get a bunch of young players and the number one draft picks, like when does this start to give you success? And it looks like they might be turning the corner with this. Their defensive core is young. They're all under 25 or under, and they are good. And I believe everybody except for Byram is on a 2-year deal, and I believe the rest of them are locked up for the next 4 or 5 years. So this is a team that has the potential to do some damage, and they're going to have a lot of cap room left over.
Yeah, they're going to have a shit ton of cap room. It's kind of interesting, guys, to look at this, 42, 43, 44, some teams about the midway point of the season. And we know the Olympic break is coming up here. And I'm interested to see how some of these teams that are having success now rebound from that long break here. But I'm looking at two teams in the Sabres, who are 1 point out of a wild card spot behind Pittsburgh. A little more distance to go within the division. The Sharks are in the second wild card spot, tied with Anaheim, who's in an absolute free fall right now. If you were to look at the Ducks and the Sharks right now, and I'll go to both of you on this. We'll go T first, and then Mac. Which one of those teams has more staying power to grab let's just call it a final wild card spot?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is.
Because the Sharks obviously have the better 1-2 player combination, and they just signed Wemberg to an extension, so that was really good. I think the Ducks have a better defense, and I think they have better goaltending. But I mean, you'd have to give a lean to the Sharks just because of Selly and Smith.
What about Sharks or Sabres?
I would give that one to the Sharks as well. I'm a lot of this, a lot, and the Sabres are right in the middle of a crowded Eastern Conference, but a lot of that was with the 10 games that they won in a row. Let's see what happens in the next 15, 16 before the break. If they get out of that still above NHL 500, I'm going to be very interested to see what they do when we get back from the break, because the trade deadline is going to be that week right after. And is that enough for them to be a buyer?
Yeah. Mac, your thoughts there on that trio of surprising teams early in the year? Sharks, Ducks, Sabres.
If I had to pick as far as which one I think would have a better chance to get in the playoffs, I would maybe lean towards Buffalo. And I'd only lean towards Buffalo just because I think because of the conference. I think they have a better chance of maybe catching Pittsburgh and even Washington in there. I think the West. I mean, the West seems so bunched up in there that it's just like, you lose 1 or 2 games and you find yourself now 5 spots out. And so I think that's the hard thing. And I think with a young team, when you get, that's going to be the hard thing with San Jose, when that young team playing that full schedule, and they're going to have a break, so that's going to be kind of awkward for them. I think that last quarter of the season might be a little difficult for them.
Well, the good news for the Sharks, though, is they're in the West, in the Pacific, and right now because Colorado and Dallas and Minnesota have just completely separated themselves from the rest of the conference. So Vegas is leading right now with 48 points. The Sharks have 45.
Mm-hmm.
Utah has 43.
Right.
That's a really, really tight. Like, we already know the 3 in the Central who are going to go. It's those other 5 spots that are going to be what's contested for over the next couple of months.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch. And again, I'm interested specifically with those 3 teams, very much so, to see how they bounce back from from the All-Star break or from the Olympic break because there's representation there. There's not a ton, and these are relatively young teams all the way through. So I think it's going to be fascinating stuff. Let's get into some college football playoff semifinals, and they get started tomorrow night right down the street from me here at State Farm Stadium, where they were playing a meaningful football game, and people in Arizona are very happy about that. As we see Ole Miss and Miami battle each other here in clearly the lesser of the two games, but two fascinating stories. Miami still holding the line on that 3.5 point favorite. Over unders at 52.5. Mac's going to make his official picks for each of these games tonight, as I said. But let's get into this one a little bit here, guys. Off the top, TJ, then Mac. First thoughts: Miami and Ole Miss on the field.
I think you're selling this game a little short. I think this game is going to be a lot better than many people think. Just because of that, how is Mississippi going to solve that Miami defense, which has just been absolutely suffocating against two teams that had explosive offenses all season long? So, and Mississippi has the number 2 offense in the nation. Well, what has that temporary coaching staff seen over the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks to think that they can get past this Miami team?
An interesting question. Mac, first things that pop off, Rebels and Canes.
Miami is just so physical, and it's crazy to think about. We're talking about a team from the SEC being out physicaled, if you will. But damn, I mean, you watched that game last week. Miami was more physical than Ohio State. I mean, and so and it's one of those things. It's Miami. It's just a different breed of physicalness, and it's the trenches. That's the one part of this whole thing. Miami I think, has an advantage in the trenches on both sides of the ball.
Dude, they are so sorry, Mike. They are so fast. Like that pick six, that corner read that play before the snap. It was incredible to watch. Like he literally read the play and just like, I'm just gonna take this to the house. It was amazing.
It just, even you take a look at Fletcher, the running back. I mean, he just feels like a bruising running back. It just seems like it seems like everything that Miami does, it's hitting you with a sledgehammer.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously, I think, one of the biggest factors in this game. We gave our X factors in this game last night, Mac, but I wanted to ask both of you guys kind of together here. So we'll go middle over again here. Which quarterback in this game has more pressure? Because to me, the X factor for Miami is Carson Beck. If they get the Carson Beck that's at 12 TDs, 1 pick over the last 5 games, I think Miami's got a hell of a shot, not only in this game, but in the national title game on their home field, as Mac pointed out last night. And then there's Trinidad Chambliss, who is rumored to be going back to Ole Miss. I think that's great. Definitely rising up in people's eyes as far as draft boards and stuff like that goes, because he can make so many quality throws when he gets flushed out of the pocket. I think Miami, it kind of goes a little bit against what Miami is all about, but they really have to keep him in the pocket because I think he's 10 times more dangerous when he's outside of the pocket. Which quarterback in this game has more pressure to the Meg?
I think it's Trinidad Chambliss. I think he's the one. I mean, Carson Beck has that. Like, he's only thrown in the two games. He's only thrown. I don't even think he's thrown for over 250 yards total. Like and when that pick six happened, and I think that put him up 14-0, I was like, this game's over. Like, just the way that the defense was playing.
Yeah.
All Beck had to do was just not make mistakes, and he's managed to do that. Meanwhile, Chambliss had to come up with that miraculous comeback, which was incredible to watch. But I mean, the dude was dropping dime. That one, oh my gosh, on that game-winning drive, that one pass was incredible. So, yeah. But I think the pressure's on him because I think that Carson Beck has the pedigree from being where he was the last couple of years. He's played in these big games before. Chambliss has not.
Not at this level, yeah.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Not at this level.
I mean, I think there's obviously more pressure on Chambliss because I think they're going to need him to do more. If this game stays, I guess what the word I'm looking for is like on cue, structured. If the game stays the structure is the way that it is, I think that's a problem for Ole Miss. And what I mean by that is Miami running the ball, chewing up the clock, being physical, not allowing Ole Miss very much in their running game. If the game gets a little out of structure, meaning Trinidad Chambliss is running around making plays happen, then Miami's in trouble. I think that's kind of the key. So the more structured this game stays, I think Miami is going to be good because I like I said, I feel they have a huge advantage in the trenches on both sides, and I think that's going to be that probably could be the difference in the game. But if it gets off structure like it did last week against Georgia, and Chambliss starts creating stuff, then Miami's in trouble.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. T and I will make our picks on Lunchtime Live tomorrow, so that puts you square in front of the firing line, Vegas Mac. Make a prediction. Who takes the Fiesta Bowl and advances on to Miami?
I think this is going to be. I think this is going to be a close game. Here's a couple of things that I was thinking about. One of the things is that against the better defenses, and I use that kind of lightly, LSU, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Georgia again. Ole Miss has put up points, and so they're good at putting up points. That's the thing that scares me about Miami. Miami hasn't put up points, but then again, they've been so good they haven't had to. So it comes down to a couple of things for me. For me, it always feels like the toughest team wins the national championship. It just feels like that's to me. So that's kind of where an advantage goes to Miami. And as I said it a couple of times, and I think this is kind of my key thing, I think the advantage that Miami has in the trenches to be able to control the running game on an offensive standpoint and also to stop the little bit of the running game that Ole Miss has. I'm going to lean towards Miami in this game. I think it's a touchdown or less kind of a game. I think it's a real close game, under a field goal type game, but I think Miami wins.
All right, let's move on to the Peach Bowl, and I've got you. Of course, I would find this. This will give us Oregon and Indiana in a matchup I think a lot of us were hoping to see. We're going to get a little bit more into our comments on Dan Lanning, not because I feel like it needs to be clarified for people that aren't understanding the comparison that Mac made, but I think it is very pertinent to this game here. They're serving this at the Peach Bowl tomorrow, courtesy of Darren Ravel on X, and the photo comes from the Levy Restaurant Group that creates these random-ass sandwiches and ballpark delights. The dueling brisket sandwich, because every time I think of Eugene, Oregon, the first thing that pops into my mind is how great the brisket scene is up there. What the hell are we doing here? $35. So Indiana's half of it. You got brisket, coleslaw, pickled onions, cherry bourbon barbecue sauce. Oregon's half, which is apparently the right side. We have to specify that for some reason. Brisket, pickles, and brown sugar barbecue sauce. So it's like they were like, well, can we get two more opposite places than Bloomington and Eugene, and let's slap a bunch of shit on a sandwich and see how many we can sling for $35. Would you be part of taking in a sandwich like that, either one of you?
I'd go halves on it, and I would, or actually what I would do
Well,
is
which half, Oregon's or Indiana's?
I would cut it into fourths, and then I could have one of each.
That's way too thought. That's too much insight into that. Put the damn thing in your mouth. Tell me if it sucks or not.
Or can I just?
There you go. Clip that cut because that's not going to get reused again. What the hell did I just say, Mac? Would you go after that sandwich?
I personally, I don't think I would, but I just looked at it and thought, man, I could chop that up and feed my whole family.
You could. You might actually get 2 meals out of that with your plan. Let's get into this one, though. Again, guys, a rematch that everybody wanted to see. 30-20, Indiana beat Oregon at Autzen, as we remember, on October 11th. And that game was kind of interesting because we were talking about it last night, and I think I said to you, Mac, 30-20 wasn't really indicative of what the game was. And it wasn't, because Indiana had it comfortably late, but the game got really close kind of right after the half, too, and you were waiting for that Oregon explosion here. I'm really interested to see the tempo and the pace of this game and what Oregon has learned since that point because Indiana's kept doing exactly what they've been doing since that point. First thoughts, Ducks and Hoosiers. Anybody. Don't all speak at once.
Yeah, no, I think this game comes down to the coaching staffs. And what I mean by that is I don't think either of these teams played a very good game the first time out. I don't think either of them did. I went back and watched some of the clips of this game, and there's a couple of things that I'll talk about here in a little bit. But I don't think either one of them played very well. To me, this just speaks of which coaching staff can see what because we've all been there as coaches before. Like Indiana's won this game. Indiana just can't sit back and go, well, we won the first game. We're not going to change anything. We're going to do everything exactly the same. We all know that's a recipe for a loss. And we've all been on the other side of that. Well, this team beat us, so what are we going to do different this time? So for me, I think this comes down to which team coaching staff can make the biggest adjustments from the first game. I think that's a key.
Okay, T, now it's your turn.
Sorry, I was thinking about that sandwich, man. I was like, man, holy cow.
Food.
And then, like, I was thinking about, like, the Chick-fil-A because it's going to be Friday night. So Chick-fil-A in the stadium will be open.
Hard pass for me. Hard pass.
In the last game, Davison and Whittington were able to run the ball successfully. Over 5 yards of carry for Whittington, over 7 for Davison. And they got to run the ball. They just they've got to be able to run the ball against this Indiana defense and sustain drives and I don't know if Dante Moore needs to be a hero here, but he's got to just make the smart plays, man. He had a couple of turnovers last time they played. Yeah, buddy. He had a couple of turnovers last time they played, and so they can't turn the ball over against this Indiana team. That's not gonna be a recommended course of action.
No, definitely not. And you know, the Lanning thing is interesting, and the one thing that got under everybody's skin in your video, Mac, was the fact that you compared him to James Franklin, and I got two very common responses across our social channels today. One was, "This is like the second time I've seen this, and it's a terrible take." Because that's the cool word to use. Because, you know, what about when they won the Big Ten title and the first win against Ohio State? Yeah, what did that get you? It didn't get you jack shit. So, do you think anybody at Oregon really cares that they beat Ohio State and won the Big Ten title last year? The point is, there's a lot of coaches. Steve Sarkisian's another one that we talk about and we laud as a guy who's won all these massive games. The comparison to James Franklin was not time of coaching or any of that. If you can't understand the context of that, I can't help you here. But I agree with it, and it took us a second to get there last night, Mac. Mm-hmm. I do agree with what you're saying. Like, Dan Lanning has set the bar to, this is Oregon football, and it's a high bar. Right. And he does have to get over it. He does have to get them to the championship game. And again, if people can't understand the context of that, I can't help you in that department. But I do agree with what you said last night. And you mentioned the coaching staffs, and this is something I've talked about a lot on the opposite side with Oregon. I think last year's experience for Oregon taught them a lot. They learned a lot from getting their doors blown off in their first game as the number 1 seed. And I think this is where we see how much they really learned, because it's an Indiana team that damn near plays perfect football.
Yeah, and the thing about the staff that, and I said it a little bit last night, that worries me is you've got 2 coordinators that are, let's just be honest, they're worried about what's coming through their portal. And that I think could be a problem as well. You have an Indiana staff that, for as far as we know, everybody is staying and they're focused on the task. And not saying that these coaches aren't, but you can't be. You can't know that you're going to be a head coach at a school, and this is in essence, probably the most important time of the year with the portal being open, and yet you're trying to, figure a way to beat a team that hasn't lost this year. So I think that's part of the problem too. But I do agree with you. I mean, I think being there is important, but I think it might be negated by the fact that you have 2 coaches that may have a quarter of their mind somewhere else.
if you're going to go into a game with that mentality, though, like you said, we've all been coaches. If you got that on your mind, you're not focused on task at hand. You're not going to be successful because your team's not going to be prepared.
And I'm not saying they're not professional. I'm just saying that's human nature,
No,
right?
I get that.
Yeah, that's just human nature. Like, listen, I've got this is like my thing that's coming up. Like, it's kind of hard.
I totally get that. I would hope that I would hope that Oregon learned from last year's experience that they like that Ohio State game was freaking straight up butt. That was not that performance was awful. And so I'm hopeful that they've kind of put it, you kind of keep that in the back of your mind, like, but you got to learn from it, man. You got to learn from it. But you're looking at a guy.
Go ahead.
I mean, he's 48-7 at Oregon in 4 years, but he's going to go on the hall pass list if he gets to 48-8 because he hasn't won. Because, and here's what we remember though, Mike. Here's what we remember. They put the duck in the river at media day, and they've been doing all the posts with the duck, and I've noticed that that's been conspicuously absent this year. But I just go back to all that talking from last year, and exactly like you said, what it gets you. You got the doors blown off you by Ohio State.
Yeah, absolutely. And about 5 minutes from now, we'll get into Super Wild Card Weekend here. You know, there's so many different ways to go. I think the way they kicked the living shit out of Texas Tech last week was kind of fun for me to watch because I've been lauding that defense all year long, and you saw how effective they are, especially in that middle part of the field, which I think is an interesting dynamic when you get into this game. Vegas Mac, it's time to put you back on the firing spot here. Who are you picking in the Peach Bowl to go to Miami to play for all the marbles?
So I was trying to find, we're talking about the coaching, and when we talked about Oregon, I was thinking about the time when Oregon lost to Washington a couple of years ago in the regular season, then came back and beat them later. And I'm like, so that shows me, how Dan Lanning is able to go and make these adjustments. I didn't know this. I in doing my research, I found this out. Oregon's only had 2 receivers go over 100 yards this year, and they were the last couple of games. And so I think that's a key thing. Indiana just doesn't make mistakes. Dante, we know it was his worst game. They pressured him 47% of the time. That's not math. I mean, that's almost 50% of the game. I mean, 50% of the plays where he has got pressure on him. So I think that's definitely something that Oregon has to deal with. I think Indiana has a little bit of an advantage in the trenches. I think there's no doubt about that. I think Oregon has the advantage out on the perimeter. I think both these quarterbacks are really good. I think Dante Moore has grown a lot more as a quarterback than when we saw them the first time. You put all that into the mixing bowl, and what do you get? What you get to me is another game that I think is going to be really, really close. I have a hard time. I haven't seen Indiana wobble at all this year. And so because of that, I'm going to go with Indiana. I haven't seen them wobble. They're just so consistent for me. I don't think it's a knock. Honestly, I don't think it's a knock against Oregon. I think Indiana might slightly be just a better team than them.
All right. T and I will make our picks on Lunchtime Live tomorrow. We're going to get into Super Wildcard Weekend here, but breaking news from Shams Charania of ESPN. The Atlanta Hawks have traded 4-time All-Star Trae Young officially to the Washington Wizards for C.J. McCollum and Corey Kispert. As of right now, I don't have any details as if there was maybe some picks involved there. If all you got for Trae Young is C.J. McCollum and Corey Kispert, what the hell are you doing? Trae Young wanted to go to Washington. That's another thing I want investigated because, why would you voluntarily want to do that? But Trae Young has been the face of the Hawks for quite a while now, on his way out of Atlanta. So that's literally breaking news as of the very minute here. The other breaking news is I'm not rich. Colin Murray-Boyles, 4 points, 15 rebounds tonight. He was coming off a really good game. I thought it was a good spot. Emmanuel quickly hit a 3 at the buzzer, and the Raptors knocked off the Hornets 97-96. Let's get into a Super Wild Card Weekend. the latest on the coaching carousel. It's really interesting because I was listening to some local radio today about some of the names that the Arizona Cardinals are interested in looking at for their vacancy. John Harbaugh is not on that list as of yet. Some of the names that were on there, pretty damn funny. This is going to be an interesting play here because of the names that we're going to hear. Obviously, we know Clint Kubiak, the OC in Seattle. Raheem Morris, who will be interviewing with the Cardinals, floating around. If not, I would venture to guess that he ends up in LA because Chris Shula can very likely be getting a head coaching position this year as well. So as far as the last 24 hours, the only new news is on the coaching front is Todd Bowles returning to Tampa for whatever stupid sense that makes. Let's look at the wild card weekend matchups and talk about who's actually here, guys. And we've got some interesting games here. We've got a couple of rematches. We've got two teams and fan bases that flat hate each other. We've got an interesting Monday night game to finish. Let's go around the room, and I'll start on the far side there with Vegas Mac. What is your favorite matchup of Wild Card Weekend, and why?
I went with the New England Patriots and those fantastic Chargers. I just think it's cool that the Patriots are back. I know everybody hated the Patriots for so long because they just were in the playoffs and were winning and this, that, and the other thing. But I think it's kind of cool. It's in essence it's a new breed of the Patriots. Is no baggage from that other team. I mean, this is completely different. This is a completely different team, completely different coaching staff and everything else. And so I think it's just kind of neat to have New England back in the playoffs. I've always been a big Mike Vrabel fan. I love when he was with the Steelers. I like what he's done with that. And then the other part of that is this. This is the game, and we talked about this that the Chargers wanted. Let's be honest. This is the game that they wanted. So I'm interested to see. This is what you want. So all right. Again, my thinking is. This is a New England team that's young. We got a young quarterback. Our quarterback, even though he hasn't won much, we know that, but is a little bit more mature. I just think New England is a better team than the Chargers are. I don't even think this one's going to be close. But that's an interesting one to me.
TJ, your favorite matchup of Super Wild Card Weekend.
I just saw it too. That makes me laugh.
What? His?
I did see what it was.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about this here in a second. So let's let him get to the game because we've reached a snag almost quite literally in the Caleb Williams thing.
It's Packers and Bears. It has to be. Like what other game would be the most interesting besides Packers Bears? Two division rivals that have played each other since forever, and now you have to play it out again on a Saturday night in Chicago to move on in the playoffs. But it's a fascinating matchup because the Packers have been a mash unit all year long, and somehow and they've kind of like kept it together, but have looked pretty horrible doing it. And then you have the Bears, who have the world's best quarterback with the world's best coach. So we'll see what all that.
That's pretty good. He did that with a straight face.
Yeah, that's why he's taking a drink right now because he's about to choke to death over there. For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, the beginning of the year, I picked the Bears to win the North. We had a long conversation about TJ's favorite, not favorite quarterback, Caleb Williams. And we told T if the Bears made the playoffs that he has to wear a Caleb Williams jersey to every show and every video he does until the Bears are eliminated from the playoffs. Well, somebody on this show, whose likeness might be on the show, forgot to get this thing ordered in time, and we're finding it to be very difficult to get it to the Southern California area before the game. So we might have to come up with a contingency plan here. TJ conveniently has not responded to the text of where the closest place to him to get jerseys is. I wonder why he didn't do that. That game also on Amazon Prime. And I know that makes a lot of people like my father very unhappy, but here's an interesting thing I heard today. This past season in the NFL, guys, was the most viewed season in the NFL since 1989. But I thought streaming was going to kill football for everybody. Nope, there's more people watching now than there ever has been. Deal
Well,
with it.
wait,
It's on Amazon Prime Saturday night. If you don't have Prime at this stage in your life, what are you really doing with your life?
is that true? Is it just the fact that in order to watch the games, you need to have four different devices, and so they're counting those devices as four people?
You cannot argue facts as much as you want to, old man yelling at
No,
clouds.
I'm just saying, just saying.
My best matchup of Wild Card Weekend, the one I can't wait to see, it's going to make me wait until the first game on Sunday morning, and you know why, because we've talked very much about both of these teams this year, and it's Buffalo and Jacksonville. I am very closely watching this because we've laid out the numbers on Sean McDermott's playoff defenses compared to Josh Allen, the playoff quarterback, over the last handful of years, and it's night and day. Josh Allen is doing everything he can, and McDermott's defenses are not. On the flip side, then there's Jacksonville, who I don't trust as far as I could throw their stupid-ass mascot who jumps off the top of the stadium in, his garb and bungee jumps. Interested to see if we'll be able to do that in the new stadium of the future. But I'm really interested to see if this Jacksonville team is as good as everybody is trying to get me to believe that they are. I think it's a great story. We've come a long way from Duval in the press conference, and I give Liam Cohen all the credit in the world because Trevor Lawrence looks every bit of what we expected Trevor Lawrence to be. That being said, this is a different stage, and until you show me that you can, I don't believe that you can. And I've got the spotlight for me on Buffalo because I do think if you're Buffalo and you lose this game, if you're Buffalo and you don't at least get yourself to the Super Bowl at this point, you have to literally, and it's the conversation. It's that conversation of, well, who do we replace him with? I don't care at this point if he doesn't get it done in a year where you have no Burrow and you have no Mahomes and you have no Lamar Jackson. I know they're the 7 seed and it's not an easy road. But I would love to see Buffalo and Pittsburgh in the AFC title game, and I'm very, very much watching this game from a Buffalo standpoint. Biggest questions of wild card round, guys. I think these are things that we're all looking at. We've all got thoughts on all these teams, all these quarterbacks, the big stage, everything else. I'm going to start on the far side with Mac. What is your biggest question of Super Wild Card Weekend?
What team can finally get some consistency in it? And was like, we've talked all year about these teams that we just don't know who they are. And here we are in the playoffs. And I came up with a list of 6 of the teams that are still playing. I don't know who they are. I don't know who the Pittsburgh Steelers are. I don't know who Jacksonville is. I surely don't know who Carolina is.
Neither do they.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who the Rams are. I don't know who Philly is. And I don't know who Green Bay is. And I stopped at 6. I could probably go for, but I honestly truly don't know what to expect from any of those 6 teams this weekend.
That was an incredible list, unofficially sponsored by Roger Daltrey. If you get it, you get it. T, what is your big question of Wild Card Weekend?
Which one of my guys on the Hall Pass list is the one that we're going to be talking about in the next round? Now, one of them has to be on there because 2 of them go against each other. But I've got Herbert, Love, Waffle House baby kangaroo, Trevor Lawrence, and the best quarterback in the world.
Baby kangaroo. When did we get there?
So which one of the 4? Which one of the 4 are we going to be is going to be standing next week?
I don't think it's any doubt about it, and we're going to get into this. T and I are going to try and pull off the 12 days of Bowlsmas and the 5 days of football madness on tomorrow's show. But the one line that I saw that to me just vomits egregiously wrong, and I get it, Vegas is a hell of a lot smarter than the 3 of us are, but how in the hell the Packers are favored at Chicago is beyond friggin' me and something that I have hammered multiple times. Here's my big question, and Mac, you kind of touched on this earlier because we did kind of talk about it a little bit last night. Harbaugh or Sirianni? Who played the down seed card right? And I'm not arguing with their thought processes of why either one of them made the decision that they did. But it was also based on A, keep my team healthy, and B, this is a better matchup because you know damn well in this profession, you want the best possible matchup. And I don't think for the Eagles that was the 49ers. I think for the Eagles that was the Packers. So I'm interested to see the criticism that comes either Harbaugh's way or Sirianni's way if one or both of them lose. I think if they both win, obviously it's a moot point and we're not talking about any of these things, but I'm fascinated by this notion from Philadelphia that they absolutely wanted San Francisco, and I don't understand why. I get that they're banged up, but they're also a team. And I'll ask you this because I asked Mac this last night. San Francisco scores 27 points in Philadelphia on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Do you need to know what the Eagles did, or is that just a win if they can get to 27?
If they can get to 27, I think it's a win. I think it's a win.
Okay. I'm not crazy. Let's get into some Super Bowl predictions now that we know the entire field of play here. And, we made some predictions at the beginning of the year. I don't remember, so I'm not. Mac tried to think I was putting him on the spot directly last night. T, what was your preseason Super Bowl prediction?
It was Buffalo and Detroit.
Okay, so T's down one. Mac, what was yours from the beginning of the year? I know that's asking you to remember a lot, and at your frail age, that's hard to do sometimes.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Are you pulling out the abacus, or?
Yeah, I know I had it around here at some point, but I don't see it anymore. That's why I didn't try to remember it. Oh, wait. No, that's not it. Baltimore. Oh, was it? Oh, yeah, that's right. Detroit and Baltimore. How could I forget? Two winning
Mine is still intact from the beginning of the year. So this is the tough thing when you make predictions at the beginning of the year because you feel like, hey, no, there was a reason I thought of this. This is where we're at. The beginning of the year, I picked San Francisco and Buffalo to meet up in the Super Bowl, which would be kind of interesting because now we're looking at a 6th seed and a 7th seed. I don't think anybody thinks that's a crazy matchup. I think Seattle's got all the momentum in the world right now. But I'm going to stick with my preseason prediction because I believe that much in Josh Allen. And I believe if the Niners can find a way to get to the NFC title game and Fred Warner is just cleared to be in a football uniform on a football field, that is a jolt to a team of all proportionate, epic, freaking whatever you want to say, jolts that they can get. And I think that's the thing that makes San Francisco still the biggest wild card here, is you're expecting them to just get their asses kicked this weekend. And I don't necessarily know, despite the injury situation, if that's what's going to end up happening. If they don't get to 27, I don't think they win, and we'll get more into that later. T, why don't you give me your revised Super Bowl prediction?
I've got Buffalo and Seattle, and a lot of it had to do with the defensive performance that I saw the other night. I was very impressed with what they did against the 49ers. And it's funny because I'm still not sold on Sam Darnold, but he didn't make any mistakes. And I kept waiting for the mistake to happen, and he never did it. And they ran the ball like crazy. And I was very impressed with Charbonnet and Walker. It just seemed like when you needed to get 9 or 10 yards, they were able to get it for you. So, I've got Buffalo and Seattle. So I'm still keeping my Buffalo pick, though. I think they have. I think they're going to have to do it the hard way, but I think it's something that's possible for Josh.
Vegas Mac, your revised Super Bowl prediction. Now that you have the whole field to choose from.
Mm-hmm. I'm going with the rematch. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with the rematch in this one.
Eagles and Chiefs can't play again in the Super Bowl this year.
No, you didn't let me finish. The rematch from 1980, Super Bowl 14. Oh, John Stallworth, Vince Ferragamo, Jack Lambert, all the greats.
Dun, 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 dun,
I am picking my Super Bowl. Remember, that was at the Rose Bowl, so it was in California. Oh. And this one's going to be in California. So I'm going with the rematch, 1980, Super Bowl 14, the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Rams.
Against the Rams, in front of the Ramley. Not at the Rose Bowl, though.
Are they going to ram it?
He actually went with the Steelers, which I think is the most breaking news of the night. Again, if you missed it a little while earlier, as soon as we got it, we told you Trae Young voluntarily wanted to go to the Washington Wizards, and he got his wish, and the Wizards got the Hawks got jack shit for it. Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, so what we're doing this week, on Friday's show, I'm going to give you our top 12 player props for the week, 4 from each of us. Tomorrow, T and I are going to try and pull off another 5-day run through some NFL weekend games. But tonight we're going to get the betting stuff started for Super Wild Card Weekend. We're going to try and hit a touchdown trio here. So I'm seeing some of the notes that I didn't see first, and one of these is hilarious. I will get us started because it's something that I've played 2 and 2 together here a lot. I just talked about how I think it's ridiculous that the Packers are favored in Chicago. I also do like DeAndre Swift to find the end zone in that game. So my touchdown pick for our trio, one DeAndre Swift of TJ's Chicago Bears. T, what do you got for me? Give me a touchdown score.
I'm going to go to Monday night, and I'm going with Max. I'm going with Max boy Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah,
that's
Kenny hooked me up last week, and I got a lot of love for Kenny Gainwell right now.
But if I get an extra $10, if I get an extra $10 of your money, give me Brock Purdy.
I do really like Brock Purdy for a rushing touchdown this weekend. It's one of those games that kind of just seems like it's gonna be.
Do you think they do it on the butt play?
That would be hilarious. But Brock Purdy doing the Dougie in the end zone, the per Dougie in the end zone of the link, while he's getting batteries, like car batteries chucked at him, would be very interesting to see. I'm trying to build this bet. Mac, have you figured one out yet, since you did not finish your homework in time?
yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It was like I was trying to figure. I wanted to go with the game that I thought was going to be the most fun game. So I was looking at who did I think in that New England Chargers game was going to be what I was going for, and I had a couple of people that I was leaning towards Stevenson, but in the end, I think Drake May. That's who I'm going with. I want to see May.
Ooh.
I think that would be very symbolic. Kind of the whole thing. Patriots win. He scores a touchdown. Kind of like Tom. Who? Tom. We had a Tom here that played before. I don't remember no Tom around here.
You are something else sometimes. All right, I just was able to put those three together. So DeAndre Swift either gets us started or screws us right out of the gate on Saturday night. Drake May and Sunday Night Football, and Kenneth Gainwell on Monday Night Football. That is a plus 26.90, so $10 will make you almost $3. Hey,
not bad.
We're gonna hit one
good.
of these this weekend, whether it's our 12-leg crackhead player parlay, prop parlay, or our 5 days of football, whatever we're gonna call it tomorrow morning. When I wake up, I'll think of a name for it. That's proper planning. We'll get it figured out. But a lot of stuff to get into. Vegas Mac, this is your final show with us for the week, so I will give you first dibs on any parting shots that you would like to put off today, and leave Dan Lanning's name out your mouth.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I hope I just foresee. I say this, and they're going to end up being dog games, but I really think we're going to get two really good semifinal games. Again, my feeling is that they're both going to come down and be under a field goal for each of those. And we're starting to get a little more baseball talk. I just saw that Mike Lorenzen signed with the Rockies, so baseball is starting. That stove is cooking right now.
Who? Who the hell is Mike Lorenzen?
So his career's over because he's going to try and pitch in Colorado.
Just saying.
Jesus. All right, guys. I actually do have one final question since he's on the screen. I forgot I had already put him on the screen. Is this man the head coach of the Buffalo Bills as of our next show, which would be Tuesday?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I think they get it done this week.
I think even if they don't, I think. I don't know. I was going to say, they like him.
Here comes the Switzerland back for the night.
Yeah, he'll be there.
I don't see how, unless this team gets to the Super Bowl, I don't see how you keep him. I think it's that whole, have the Buffalo Bills reached their ceiling under Coach McDermott? And if they have, then they need to find somebody to put them over the top. And that's fine. If they need to find somebody else, he might have played in that stadium in week 1.
But does Josh Allen want him gone? That's what I was going to say. Does Josh Allen want him gone?
It's a great question. Great
Yeah,
question.
and I think that's definitely going to be a part of the discussion there, and it should
Hmm.
be. We're talking about the best quarterback in the NFL. Don't at
Yep.
me. He is. On tomorrow's show, TJ and I will make our picks for the Fiesta Bowl. T will make his picks for the Peach Bowl. We'll get into wild card weekend and our best 6 plays for the 6 games, and we'll use TJ's trusty coin again because that's the right way to do it. And then on Friday's show, we'll drop some player props. I'll have some reaction for you as we transition into the lunchtime live part of the week, 11:30 on the West Coast, 2:30 on the East Coast. As always, follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not 12 and Snapchat sucks. Until tomorrow at lunchtime, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks for nothing, Colin Murray Boyles. You know the drill. We're out.